Good evening. Hello. This is our last interview for our May No More Excuses challenge. I know it is no longer May, but it just happened. And here is our guest. Woo-hoo.
Good evening.
That was the smoothest getting somebody on I've had. So, oh my goodness, that was so easy. All right. Well, good evening. How are
I'm
you?
doing fantastic. How are you?
I am good. Oh no. Okay, let me
Am
back up
I
a little bit.
coming in pretty clear? Does it sound kind of clippy or is this clear?
No, you're good.
Okay, fantastic.
Hello, welcome for those who just joined us. So we're going to jump right in and get started. So tonight, my guest is Ranarte Coach Teddy Allen. He is a certified coach and official under USA Track and Field with a focus on youth athletics. He has been coaching in the youth sector for 8 years and at the junior varsity and varsity level for 7 years. In that time, he has developed many athletes who have gone to do the Junior Olympics and several state finalists in varsity track and field. He is a strong believer in teaching spiritual, psychological, and sociological health to create a well-rounded athlete. I love that. Who is prepared for college level competition and beyond.
Wow.
Okay. Awesome. So sounds like you are doing like a holistic approach with your kids that you work with. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
So tell us, where are you from?
I am originally from Jacksonville, Florida. Raised there, Duval.
Yes.
Born and raised there. And then in 2003, probably when you were maybe in elementary or middle school sometime, um, I moved to Orlando to continue my college education here at Valencia with the hopes of moving on to the University of Central Florida. That didn't quite happen. I took a different route, but now I'm pretty much working toward my degree and some certifications in theology and ministry.
Oh wow. Okay. Are we are you looking into going into like full-time ministry?
You know, that is something that has been in my heart, in my spirit since I want to say about 14. I was actually licensed under the Southern Baptist Convention when I was 14 in Jacksonville. Um, but I think I took a different path from other people. See, some people get a call and they run from it and then later come back. I accepted the call and then tried to run, and it just didn't work out that well. So no matter what I did, the calling kept calling me back.
Oh my goodness. What? Well, I'm glad you're pursuing that. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Oh man. We gotta hear like an update to see how this goes. Okay. So one of the reasons why I ask guests that I interview where are they from is because I just like to have anyone in the audience, no matter where you're from, to know that just because where you came from, if people tend to associate people from my city, people from my neighborhood, people from my state don't do this or never achieve this, that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that has to be your story. And so that's why I like for you to hear where every guest is from, so you know that each of them come from different places, but they are working towards great things. And I think that's awesome. So,
Thank you.
yes. Okay. So tell us, how long have you been coaching?
Well, like you said in the introduction, coaching totally for about 8 years. Um, really focusing at the junior varsity high school level. I've been coaching at a Lake Mary Preparatory School in Sanford for the past 7 years. Did my first 2 years completely volunteer, no pay. A couple years later, I came on as an assistant coach, the assistant coach. And shortly after that, I rolled right into being the head coach. And aside from that, definitely started with Speed Academy Track Club when my daughter was running and throwing. Of course, she's in high school now. She doesn't want to do that kind of stuff. But the two little ones are still very active. And we went to a different team for a while, but then came back home, as I like to say, because the head coach there, we've known him for a number of years because we used to go to the same church. But definitely, I want to say coaching track and field for 8 years. Coaching as a whole, probably about the last 20 in different facets, I would say.
Okay. So I had someone else who I think was similar to you. I forget who it was, but there was someone I interviewed, and they were talking about how they were doing whatever they're doing now, but the heart behind Katie Beth. She was selling earrings at one point, and now she's doing speaking, where she speaks to women to help them change their lives and things like that. And she was saying, even when she was making earrings, the heart behind what she did was still the same. She just expressed it differently. And then I had another guest who talked about how she always knew she was supposed to be a leader. So did you notice that like 20 years ago? Like, I think I got a coaching thing going in me, or?
Yeah, I did. What I always noticed is my heart was always to see other people better.
Okay.
Ironically, it was very easy to see where they were. And I guess through the lens of the word, or through God's eyes, see them for their capacity, not for their ability. Ironically, I do have a handyman business where God actually had to reveal that to me, because I was fighting. I don't want to be a handyman anymore. I just want to coach full time. And he just basically said, "You're missing the point." I'm like, okay. When God starts talking like that, it's time for me to shut up and start listening. He said, the reason you're a handyman was never to make a business and make money. It was for me to show you how you have vision to see things as they are, and the capacity to work toward what they can be. Yeah. And I've always been like that. I lived a long time working off of ability. And I think, when it comes to track and field, we look at the kids' ability, but very few coaches have the ability to have the mindset to inspire to their capacity. So I think for a long time, I've always been able to decipher the difference, but now I'm about 98% sitting on the capacity side and not just the ability side.
Wow. Okay. Oh my goodness. That's awesome. And I think that's, again, it's a common theme that keeps coming up when I'm interviewing people. Like, what God has put in you. Mm-hmm. Like, it may not all, be fully fleshed out, but it's like you can't run from it. It stays with you. It sticks with you. And I think it's worth pursuing. And we'll get to that. So you'll tell people some tips on how they can do that. So I won't jump ahead. But, okay. How are you impacting the lives of the students that you coach?
Oh, man. That actually goes a little further back than just the coaching.
Okay.
Out of high school, I was offered a scholarship for track and field myself, shot put and discus, to Liberty University. It was not explained to me that as a student athlete, everything is paid for. When they called me, they said, "Hey, we're going to give you a scholarship. We're going to take care of your education." In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that's my classes and my books, but where am I going to live?
Yeah.
But I never asked those important questions because I was never trained to know what to say, what to ask. My coach at the time was much more focused on, and this, you'll see why I am where I am now because of this particular statement. My coach focused heavily on the runners and put very little effort into the throwers. So when it came time for that conversation, I immediately turned it down because my first thought was, my mom can't afford an apartment all the way in Virginia. She can't afford to buy me a car to drive to Virginia and have transportation. Then I have to find a job and do school full time and be an athlete. That's just too much. So I turned down the scholarship. So my impact now is based on where I was and what I didn't know, into now making sure that these athletes that are coming up, even starting at the age of 13, I'm really trying to infuse in them the idea that a free education is the best education, because not every kid who's in AAU sports or even at a private school, their parents don't have $50,000, $60,000 a year to pay for their education. But you do have a gift, you have a talent that we can hone the skill on to make sure that with these hands and these feet, you can make sure that education is going to be taken care of and you can still make your parents proud. So really trying to instill in them the value of, one, being a scholar, two, being a scholarly athlete, three, being a person of integrity, and letting that put you in the right locations and take you to the right destination.
Oh my goodness. One, that is terrible. What? Like, oh my goodness. That is terrible. I'm so sorry that happened. That is horrible. But on another note, I'm so glad you were able to take that and say, okay, now how can I make sure this doesn't happen to other students? Because you could easily just focus on their athleticism. And of course, if they do well, you're going to look good. So who cares where they go afterwards, you know? So I love that you focus on them as well as, you know, them doing well is going to be beneficial, but taking care to think about them. That's good. If you have one, what is your ultimate goal or big picture when it comes to coaching your students?
This may sound kind of lofty to some people.
Okay.
When people think about shot put, discus, and javelin, I want my business to be the first thing they think about. I want to be the Walmart of throwing.
Okay.
And not just the neighborhood market, the super Walmart, meaning whatever your need is, you can go on the app, find what aisle it's on, go straight to the aisle, get exactly what you need, and come out successful without having to spend a lot of time in there. So by that, I mean this: working out a system that is so effective and so consistent, so methodical, that it doesn't matter who uses it, everyone is going to be successful. I want Meta, Maximum Effort Throwing Academy, to be a household name when it comes to throwing, but also with education and higher learning. I don't want them to just be great at Junior Olympics or be a state champion. What does that mean if you don't go to school at a higher level or even into a trade? That's why I try to instill in them those traits that are much bigger than just throwing and being athletic. But can you be mentally athletic? Can you be socially athletic? Can you instill all those things you've learned in track and field into your life and be a well-rounded individual, so that when people look at you, there's no question that what they see, what they're getting, is what they're always going to receive, because you're consistent.
That is so good. I love it. Okay, so
Well,
this is
I know sometimes I can get real pastorish and real religious with how I'm talking. Let me know if I'm being too exegetical in the way I'm talking. Let's just keep it real, you know.
oh, that was, I understood what you said. It made sense. That was good. No. So if you are ready to answer this, answer. If not, then don't. But how are you working towards that? Like what can people, I guess, look forward to or expect from you, or if they want to help you like do that, if you are ready to share. If not, then don't.
I am.
Okay.
Well, the first thing I've done is I've taken those athletes that I've seen a lot of success in, and I've really started pushing them toward, like I said, that college atmosphere, showing them how to use certain websites, to really see what the possibilities are for them. I've also I've written out what I'm going to put into an ebook. So for the ones who can't make it to Florida for training, that book, I want it to be so detailed that you never have to speak to me. But if I see you throwing, I know the success comes from the system that I created. I've also talked to a lady who owns an indoor flea market here in Sanford. She has a lot of space in the back that she's not using. So I've struck up a deal with her that if I pay booth rent, she'll let me use the indoor facilities to do my training indoors, which is something that no other coach has consistently in the area. So aside from the book, I'm also going to be putting up very soon. I've already started a couple instructional videos for people to go and look at on the page, Instagram, Facebook. So they'll be able to really implement those techniques for the success of the athlete. What I really want, what I really, really want is for coaches to follow the plan. There are a lot of coaches who are teaching things that are not effective. And a lot of those things could potentially hurt the athlete in the long run. I want the coaches to pay more close attention than the athlete. Because when you have coaches who are really adamant about teaching the right thing and they know the right thing, the athletes tend to do a lot better.
I love it. That's good. Okay. So in other words, keep following him if that's something you're interested in, so you can know when all this comes out. So it's amazing. And congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. So did your upbringing influence your decision to coach, or did you just see a need with the students and decide to just fill that gap?
Whew. Oh. Both.
Okay.
Upbringing wise, I was the middle, somewhat in my immediate family. There were 3 boys, my brother, myself, and my cousin. A lot of effort went into my brother. A lot of effort went into my cousin. And very little effort went into me. When I needed someone to be there or wanted family to be there, a few times my mother was present. And she was working hard, 2 jobs, sometimes 3 at a time. So she's excused. That's my mom. You know, she put the time in. Yeah. But I didn't have the support that I saw that my brother and my cousin had. Later on down the road, I did realize I was a very independent person. I didn't need the kind of support that they needed. But at that time in my life, just to hear a familiar voice of a family, to yell my name or scream and say, hey, good job, anything like that would have been very beneficial to me. So one, I do see a lot of athletes who are throwers who don't get that. And this kind of segues into seeing the need. A lot of track parents, the track season comes around and everybody wants their kid to be a star in the 100, 200, 400, 4x1, all the high publicity races. Well, if you bring out a little kid that's about 5 foot nothing and he's about 150 pounds, that's a good chance this kid is not going to run the 100. Let's just be honest. He or she is not built for that, and that's okay. But what the coaches do is they take a lack of speed or ability to run and throw them into the throwing arena. Or go throw shot put, go throw discus, go throw javelin. But they don't give them the proper coaching that they need. Now, here's the kind of coaching that I'm talking about. Not just throw it this way, throw it that way, stand like this. That kid on the inside, their self-esteem has already been diminished because you just told them that they can't do what other kids can do. And kids notice all the accolades and the excitement that goes into running the 100-meter dash or the 200-meter dash. They see it. Every season they see it. So they know where the attention is. So you got all the attention and the screaming on the track. But when it comes to the circle, it's just pretty much silent. So over the years, which is why, honestly, for the first 7 years, I coached a whole lot of people, and I didn't get paid for any of it all. I didn't even ask for anything because I saw a need for these kids beyond the sport, beyond the talent, beyond the technique. It was inside. The inward struggles that these kids were having, and you can see it. They would get in a circle, and they're throwing shot put, and it hurt me so bad to see little boys and little girls look so defeated. Because, here, go do this real quick. I got to go over to the track, and so about to run. But you the head coach. Come on, coach. Stay right here and give this kid what they need. They need somebody who believes in them to stay with them and walk them through this process and be excited for them just like you're excited for the runners. So after seeing this so many times, there were a few times I said some things under my breath too. Good thing nobody ever heard me, because it might have been some hands throwing, 2 pieces in the biscuit. but I saw the need for kids to really be taught how to be effective in throwing, but also how to be confident in what they can do and what they are doing as opposed to what they're not doing. Even so much like there's a thing that I teach when it comes to shot put and discus on how to release the shot put or the disc. I call it the confidence of the throw. And I tell kids, I say, when you see somebody who's confident, do they walk around shying away like, don't look at me? And they're like, no. I say, so how do you, when somebody's confident, how do they stand? They stand with their head up. I said, good. So when you release, I want you to be confident with your throw. Show me the confidence of the throw, your chest up, your head up, and get that disc and that shot put up. And you be proud of what you're doing. Just by trying to instill those self-esteem techniques into them while they're throwing, you should see the amazing, even if they don't throw any farther than they have been throwing, you see the difference in how they view themselves and the confidence in what they're doing. And they're excited about what they're doing, and they don't feel like I've just been thrown away. I'm sorry. I talked too long. I'm sorry. I'm long-winded. I'm sorry.
No, all of that is good. I love that, because the whole one of the biggest things of me even having this whole account is to help change the storyline for families. And you may not be in the family that you're changing. You may just have influence over kids. And, parents can change the story, or teachers, or, volunteers, whoever. So I love that. And I think that's good for other people to hear, who maybe you're not a parent, or maybe your family's good, but you notice there's other kids in the neighborhood that's not. And they may not be a coach like you, but they can take the same thing you're saying and give that to other kids who don't have it. So it's great. I love it. So you're not too long-winded for me. Okay, so next question. Take us from you having the idea or deciding to want to coach to actually doing it. Like, what were some of the first few steps or things that you did to get started?
Research. A lot of research. I knew how to throw because I was a thrower, but I didn't know how to coach and teach someone else how to throw. So now the Bible says there is nothing new under the sun, which tells me whatever I'm trying to do, somebody else has already done it, and I can take what they've done, make it my own in my own way, glean from them, and still be just as successful. Why? Because I'm not doing anything different than they're doing. Our goal is always the success of the athlete at the end of the day. So I started coaching my daughter first. And that was the biggest learning experience. Trying to teach your child how to do something, and when they get mad and shut down, they don't want to do anything. That's what made me a better coach.
Okay.
How not to be overbearing, learning how to read the personalities and body languages, especially of the girls. 13, 11, 12-year-olds, they will tell you about yourself in a heartbeat. And they never say a word. You can see it on their faces, their body language, even how they throw. You can tell something's not right. But from start to finish, it's a lot of research, remembering what I did, and then started really focusing on small steps. And then I started doing a lot of recording of the athletes, watching what they were doing. And then I started developing different techniques as far as thing called tension points. So they know what feels a certain way, how to load or put the weight on a certain way. So after doing a lot of research, a lot of trial and error, ironically, with the trial and error, there was a tremendous amount of success. with a lot of athletes across the board, because even though it was trial and error, we would work out the trial and error things in practice, and then they would implement what worked, and they were all successful. So the biggest part of the process really was the research and learning social cues from body language. Uh, that really, really helped a lot with reaching the kids, the boys, the girls. It doesn't matter. So let me see. Let me. I digress. Let's ring this thing in. Like I said, I can get long-winded. Start with my daughter. She's interested. I did this. Okay, let's go. She progressed and got better. New athletes started coming along because they saw how well she was doing. Over the years, more athletes started coming in and asking for help. At the track meets, coaches say, hey, coach, I see how your daughter doing. Can you help my athlete out real quick? In the middle of a track meet. First of all, not a good time to be actually teaching technique. But I had to learn how to really, I don't want to use the word dumb down, but simplify all that I knew quickly for an 8-year-old to go throw. After doing that so many times, my face became synonymous with that coach that loves to help because he loves the kids. Now I've gone to that coach who's really good, and he has a lot of kids that throw real good. And if ever I see him show up and his athletes show up, I already know they take him first and second. Like, so, especially on my girl side,
Yeah.
they are don't hope for anything above second because it ain't gonna happen.
I love it.
And that's not all because of me. That's they put the hard work in. But I've just become synonymous with excellence, with consistency, and my athletes prove more, if anything, than just me teaching consistently, but with them doing the same thing all the time, and they're progressing in their throws and in their distances. People are starting to notice, okay, maybe this guy really knows what he's talking about, because anybody that I see with the logo on their shirt from his company, they're putting up big numbers.
Yes. Okay, so two things we can pull out of that. One, even if you have an interest in something or a desire to do something, it doesn't mean you can just jump right into it without doing some research.
No,
that is important.
You got to put that legwork in and really find out what you're doing, because when you see the big picture of what other people have done, it really lets you know where you are, where you can be, but it also opens your eyes to what that word I said earlier, to what your capacity really is beyond your current ability with what you have.
Yeah. I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak to people who are of the Christian faith. You have to be careful with just saying faith is going to carry everything. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we have to drive over bridges and just trust with faith that the person who made the bridge, just had faith that the numbers worked out,
Right.
and that the pillars are going to stay. We don't want that product. We don't want that bridge. So I love that you said that yes, you did it before because you threw yourself,
Right.
but there was still some development and learning that you needed to do. And that might cause you to not want to go into what you're doing, but at least you knew that beforehand. So
Right.
you're not stepping out, spending this or, doing whatever. And now you have to backtrack. So that's good. And then you said trial and error. And I think many people are afraid of that because more than likely they're comparing their year 1, year 2 to somebody's year 10, and they don't see all the trial and error that person went through. They just see them consistently executing at a high level. Right. And it makes them feel like, well, if I don't come out the gate perfect, then I can't do it. And it's like, wait a minute.
I think the biggest problem with people to that effect is simply this: you can't be afraid to fail. I had to learn that hard way. And I see my wife joined in, but she's the one that taught me that. You cannot be afraid to fail. None of us are perfect. If you knew everything about what you're interested in, you would already be a billionaire doing that thing, which lets you know that at some point you're going to have to put yourself out there and really try to do something that you've never done before to get a different result other than what you've been getting. If you hit a ceiling, the only way you know how to get past that ceiling is to, one, you're going to have to jump higher. Two, you're going to have to really believe that you're going to get past that ceiling. And even if you hit your head, just know that ceiling is going to fall apart once you get to where you want to be. So it does take a lot of effort. It does take faith. It does take calculate. Let me take away effort. It does take calculated effort. Yeah. Because when you make calculated efforts and you fail, that's how you're able to restructure effectively to do better the next time. So don't just do it without having a calculated effort with an expected result. Yes. If you don't get the expected result, now you make changes so that you can get to where you want to be. And then believe that whatever that ceiling is, you're going to break past it. And then the number three, it don't make no sense to do all that work if you're not going to execute. You just got to execute and do it. I think a lot of, when I say us folk, I mean all people, everybody in the world. We'll research, we'll write out plans, and that's as far as we get. Miles Monroe said one time, he said the most wealthy place in the world is the cemetery. And that's because a lot of plans and ideas are in the cemetery because execution never happened. Go execute. Public service announcement. Anybody that comes back and watches this video later, plan and execute. Don't be afraid to fail. You have to execute.
Yes. That was so good. Yes. That's good. Okay. I won't keep going, but rewatch that whole little part right there so I don't repeat myself. But, oh man, yeah. Okay. Is someone, you kind of touched on this already. So if you have anything else you can share, if not, then we'll go to the next question. Okay. But if someone is interested in coaching kids like what you do, can you give them 3 practical tips for them to get started? Maybe it might be different from what you did, or if you have anything else that comes to mind.
Observe the child, 1, or the children. 2, listen to the child or the children. 3, tailor what you know to the child. If you do those 3 things, 1, you're going to observe, because not all children are vocal. So you'll know by their body language, how they move, where they really are. 2, listen. The ones who want to talk, they'll tell you everything you want to know. Even though they may, well, and I'm supposed to this, and this a bit, and my mom said, but if you listen long enough and get past all the stuttering, they will tell you what you need to know to help them. And shoot, I forgot what the third one I just said. I went blank just that quick.
Shoot.
Observe.
Tailor what you know.
Tailor what you know to the kid. Now, this past year, so funny I said that. This past year, I worked for my wife's school, and I taught 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. I am very intelligent, but to teach 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, I had to really simplify everything that I know for them, even putting some of the lessons in songs and little rhythms and rhymes that they can remember. All the information that every adult possesses can always be tailored and simplified for a child, for them to get it. And when they get it, you'll know it, because everything about them changes the moment they get it. So observe, listen, and tailor what you know to the child. And I guarantee you, success is going to be predictable if you stick to that 3 steps.
Love it. That's good. Okay. And wait. Okay. Yeah. So, hold on. Read the question. I'm reading too fast.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, okay. So now that you've given us some practical tips, I was reading too fast. Like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. So you've already given us practical tips.
Mhm.
Can you talk to the person who is just afraid to start? They want to coach, or maybe they want to do something else, and they're just afraid, and they feel like, I can't get over that hump of actually going from idea to implementation. What would you say to them?
I feel like what the pastor say? I feel like you're pulling on me. um, I almost had a TBM moment. Listen, you person, let me stop. The person who is afraid, the idea that you have is important. It is valuable and it is necessary. There may be other people who are doing something similar or the exact same thing, but who you are is going to make what you have palatable for the people who cannot receive from others. You are here because you are necessary. So everything that you may be afraid of, stop being afraid. Because the moment you step outside of fear and really start walking in your ability, let me say it like this. Sight is the ability to see things as they are. Vision is the ability or is the capacity to see things as they can be. If you're afraid, close your eyes. Let your vision be your guide because your vision is going to reveal your capacity. Your sight is only going to limit you to your ability. Ability is great. You have enough right now of ability. But when you start focusing on who you are, what you have, and what you can give to the world, it becomes a capacity thing now, and everything about you begins to expand. Stop being afraid. Step out. I would say take a leap of faith. Not everybody who listens is going to be Christian. I understand that. But at some point, if you want your life to be different, you're just going to have to be different. You can't expect to be like everybody else and have what everyone else has. That's not the way you were built. You have a specific vision. Step out, be different, be you, be an anomaly. It is necessary.
I love it. That's good. The only thing I will add to that is I just want to reiterate what he said about if you want something different, you have to do something different. You have to be someone different than what you're currently doing. And if you're not careful, you can miss that. And it can be everything else's fault. Everything else could be the reason for why it's not working. But it's like, well, maybe we need to look inward, and it might be some internal work you got to get over of not feeling like
Mm-hmm.
you're enough, or what are people going to think, or what are they going to say, or what if I mess up? Like, if you want something different, stop turning so inward. Do the best you can, plan, but then execute. And that's doing something different than just sitting and staying in your head. So,
Right.
yeah.
I like to think what you just said, those two words, what if, I think those are two of the most powerful words that will restructure a person's thought process. Because if someone says, the moment you think, what if I can't? Let's use those same two words. What if you can?
Yeah.
What if I fail? What if you don't?
Yeah.
What if I'm not as successful as somebody else? What if you are and more successful?
Yeah.
So once you start flipping those things around, that what if can be a powerful catalyst to really propel up someone into their future if they just think the positive side of the what if and not the negative side of the what if. What if you actually started your business tomorrow? What if you took that plan and started implementing it on Monday morning? What if you did that and 6 months from now you're a millionaire and your life is completely different? What if you did this and in the next year you traveled to 20 different countries and talked to millions of people and their lives have changed because you've done it? What if is the expansion of the capacity if you think positively?
Yes. Well, that's it. That's the last question. So now we just have rapid fire questions. So that was a perfect ending. That was great. Okay, here we go. What is one book that has helped you in coaching, if you have one?
The Bible.
Okay, you're not the first one to say that. Do you have one for business, like that helps you in business?
Miles Monroe, Rediscovering the Kingdom.
Okay.
It really does do a lot of showing me that the kingdom mentality has more to do with structure, discipline, and outline more than it is about only the spiritual aspect. Principles are spiritual. It takes faith to follow a principle. Structure will guide your spirit in the right direction. So all these things, rediscovering the kingdom constitution, God's ultimate plan, all those good things really helps to structure business so that, like I said earlier, results are predictable.
Yeah. What song are you playing on repeat right now?
Woo! This is the one I think gonna change everybody's life. Here we go.
Okay.
Maverick City, Fear is Not My Future.
Okay, that goes perfect.
Listen, that has been on repeat for me, for probably the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
And man, that thing, and specifically the one with Tasha Cobbs Leonard, and then Pastor Darius comes on and gives an exhortation, and he's like, "You got to understand that before God gave the Israelites hello to the promised land, He had to give them a goodbye. So goodbye to the fear, hello to your future. Fear is not my future. Oh my God. Listen, if I was in church, I'd run right now. That thing it hits home every time. Every time.
Okay. What is a podcast that has helped you either in coaching or business that you can tell us?
Mm. I listen to so many.
If you have more than one, you can share.
One is TDJ's podcast.
Okay.
The man is one of the greatest orators the world has ever seen. Let me see. All the other stuff really has to do with relationship.
Okay.
Um, but I've learned how to build great relationships with my athletes. It's pretty simple. They're kids. Just don't push too hard. But that's it.
But I think that's good though, because even though it's not directly something to do with coaching or business, building a relationship with them is everything, because that's how
Yeah.
you are able to get them to grow and understand and all of that. So that's still good.
You know, you just, yes, you just opened me up to something new.
Go ahead.
The,
Go ahead.
listen, the more I give to them, um, what's that? When the religious leaders asked Jesus, "What's the greatest commandment?" He said, "Love the Lord thy God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength." And the second part is like unto it, that you love your neighbors, you love yourself. You just made me realize, with all the time that I put in studying and analyzing film, when I go out and coach these kids, they can tell that I've done the work in really helping them individually, not just a general teaching, but I watch their videos because I tell them, okay, I watched your video, do this and this, and just in moments, it clicks, whole nother level. So I guess the sacrifice of relationship, it really does play a big role. It takes a lot of behind the scene work to make a relationship work, right? So I guess it's paying off with the kids. That's good. Thank you for letting me see that. Praise the Lord.
Yeah. Um, so quick note, that was something else you said that I think is really good, that you go back and you watch their videos. And just as I've been like learning about business and different things like that, one thing that people say that separates okay business to great is that people who study the greats, they study them, like they watch what they do. Depending on what the field is, they may actually go and experience what the business does to learn the small cues and different things that take their customer service from average to great,
Right.
or the way they put customers through their business or whatever the case may be. So I think that's really good. And again, that's you studying. So it's researching, understanding your knowledge, but then studying the child is good as well. So
Watch this. You keep saying study, right? What don't the Bible say something like study to show thyself approved, a workman that need not be ashamed? I know it says right dividing the word of truth, but if we take the first clause of that, study to show thyself approved, a workman, whatever your work is your vocation. That is your calling. So if you're going to study to be an entrepreneur in a particular sector, everything you put your time into, you should never ever be embarrassed about what you're doing. And that takes away the fear of failure because you put the study and the time in.
yeah, that's good. Okay. When was the last time you burned something? Food, clothing, I don't know, a child's hair, anything?
Saturday, I forgot to wear my hat at a track meet. Burned. And it is very uncomfortable.
I'm pretty sure. Oh my goodness.
And, for the longest time, I didn't know that people of our dark hue could get burned, but we definitely can, and it does not feel good.
Yes, we're sunscreen people.
Please do.
What is one application or platform that helps you with coaching or in your business?
We're on it. I think equally Instagram and Facebook. Everything I post on one or the other, it feeds into the other. And I've made a lot of connections with coaches all over the country. And we pull and, like I said, we glean from each other, little tips and tricks. We post videos of our athletes, and we're able to show our athletes what other kids are doing to show the similarities so they don't feel like we're just beating them up to get it right. No, other kids are going through the same hardship. You just keep focusing and you get it right. But definitely, Instagram and Facebook, hands down, has been my go-to for getting the message out of the kind of coaching that I'm giving and the level of excellence that's being presented, even if it's just a 2-hour session.
Love it. What is one talent that you do not have, but you wish you did, and why?
Whew. That's a good question. I wish I could read, I could speed read.
Okay.
Because I would have no problem just spending all day at the library soaking up information. I wish I could speed. Yeah, yes, that'd be hands down number one. Speed read.
Yes. That would be so beneficial if I did grad school and comprehended it. You got to throw that part in there.
Reading it and correct. Yeah, that'll be a great talent. That'll make you a superhero, really.
No one has said that. I like that. That's good. Okay, last question.
All right.
Yes, that's it. This is our last one. Who is one content creator that is constantly dropping gems or advice that you have actually implemented and it's been helpful and or worked?
Just one. Oh man.
I mean, you can name more. I just didn't want to put people on the spot to try to come up with, a list. But if you have more, you're welcome to share.
Pastor Mike Jr. You ever heard of him?
Yes. If I'm thinking about describe.
He's the one that took the song "Crazy" and then flipped the gospel version. I remember when he saved my life.
I think so.
That's Pastor Mike Jr.
Okay.
And I want to say business-wise, any of the coaches from Ranarte Throws University.
Okay.
I forget what state. I think they're in Ohio. I could be wrong, but they pretty much teach the same way that I do. They coach the kids, but they'll if you listen, they throw little subtle hints in there about life and things like that during their coaching. But yeah, definitely those guys are so effective and so excellent in what they do. But Pastor Mike, that joker would he dropped gems that I can use for business, for my marriage, with my kids, in ministry. And that one liner that he drops could be universal across the board for all five of those areas, and it works.
Okay.
You know he's coming straight from the word.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about, but I'm halfway drawing blank. But I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking
Oh, sorry. Third one, Todd, Mike Todd.
about. Okay.
Yeah, those three, definitely.
I love it. Okay, so that is it. Now, please share your information, where people can find you, if you have anything coming up, all the stuff. Go for it.
All right, so you can find me on Instagram. It's max_effort_throws. On Facebook, we are Max Effort TA, meaning Throwing Academy, Max Effort TA on Facebook. If you need any kind of sessions or want to get in contact with me, you can reach me at maxeffortthrowingacademy@gmail.com. That's my email. As far as coming up, since I am the head coach at Lake Mary Prep, I do 2 weeks, 1 week in June, 1 week in July. It is a track camp. Partnering with me is Coach Tevin, who is the head coach of Speed Academy right here in Sanford. He's the one that coaches the Class 4A state champs like 3 years in a row, 4x1 and 4x4. Very scientific, very methodical. But with us being coaches there, anybody who's interested, from kids up to high school, can attend the camp and get a full week of dynamic, personalized one-on-one training to advance yourself in track and field, whether it's running or throwing.
Nice. Okay, so follow him. Go check out his page. If he said anything that was helpful, encouraging, even challenging, it might hurt a little bit, but if it was good, go back and like some of his posts. Right, put some comments underneath there, give him some likes and thumbs up and all that good stuff, because we would love to get out what he's doing, because I think it's amazing to be able to work with students like this. Actually, I have one bonus question for you. It's not on here, but are you up for it?
I am. Let's roll.
Okay. One quick question. What, outside of working with the kids, you have to interact with parents, and you have to work with communication and all that stuff. So I would like for you to give like one piece of advice or something for coaches to consider if their desire is to work with students, but they haven't considered all the other things that comes along with coaching. I wanted to ask that.
Okay. Be excellent. Parents are very easy to deal with when they know that what you're doing for their kids is for their kid and not for you. So there is a humility factor. When the kids do what they do and they do it well, you congratulate the kids. You keep the spotlight on the kids. When you talk to the parents, make sure you keep it professional and cordial at all times, because your professionalism with your coaching and with the parents is going to give them the reassurance that what you're doing is quality work, and they can trust what you're doing. And here's the kicker: they can invest in what you're doing, because if they don't pay you, you don't get paid. But they got to see that you really want to do it for the kids. I have not had any issues with parents, because my focus is 100% on the success of the kid. Even if it's at a track meet, I've never seen the kid before a day in my life, I will help them, and I want them to improve, and I give them a high five. Doesn't make a difference. Whatever your focus is, whenever it comes to working with kids, humbly keep the focus on the child, and you will have no issues with parents at all. I guarantee you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, that's something I thought about because I'm thinking sometimes people get into fields because they love like a part of it and they don't necessarily consider the other things that you have to do that come along with the job. So I
Yeah,
wanted to ask that. So thank you for that.
you're welcome.
Okay, so again, if you said anything that you liked, that was good, that was challenging, make a comment under this video or go and like some stuff on his page and help get his numbers up and all that good stuff. We gladly appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for joining me and sharing so much. That was also good and encouraging. And that is it. I hope that anyone who watches this, that whatever the idea is, whether it's just something you feel like I have a knack for this, or if it's a God-given idea, go for it, try it, pray, get godly counsel, all those things, and just try. Like he said, think about the positives of the what could come from it. And for those of you who know, it's time for you to step out and do something with what you have. I hope that this interview encourages you to step out. And like he said, he researched, he studied, he tried, and he learned. He made, what did you say, calculated
Effort.
efforts. Like that, oh, that was so good. Calculated efforts. So you don't have to feel like you're shooting in the dark.
Right.
Be calculated with it, but take the steps, put in that effort. I love it. That was so good. Okay. So thank you again for watching, guys, and I hope you're encouraged to have no more excuses, because that's what this challenge is called. No more excuses. All right. Good night, y'all. Bye.
All right. Thank you.